So today, for our integrity card, I wanted to focus on communicating. It's the in the realm of conscious communication, and it has to do with this whole giving and receiving. So I'd like you to, for a moment, try on your passive, I'm waiting for someone to give me attention posture. I'm just waiting for someone to notice that nobody has noticed me. And if they really loved me, they'd notice me and they'd ask me something about myself. Yes. And I'd like you to notice what kinds of thoughts come up, what happens to your energy flow when you go into that passive waiting. And when you're in that posture, I'm going to ask you something that has happened to me many times where someone will say, like Gay will say, "How are you? What's going on?" And what do we respond to that? We respond, "I'm fine." Okay, so I'd like you to do your own version of "I'm fine" or "Nothing." What's going on? Is something going on? Nothing. Okay, so I'd like you to just notice how all of that feels to you when you're in passive, somebody else is responsible. I'm going to just wait until somebody asks me what's going on. So that's what this card is about. It's about opening to this wonderful word called initiate, initiating. So, initiating is not about making yourself. It's not about forcing yourself out of some kind of rule or reciprocity. Initiating is that blossoming of wanting to express. So if you take a breath in and you're experiencing and you breathe out, when you breathe in and you breathe out, notice if there is any spontaneous sound that wants to come with your out breath. Any kind of ah, oh, oh. And if there's not some spontaneous sound that comes with your out breath, I'm imagining that you're doing something to stop the sound. Because expressing, like if you notice kids when they're either walking along, and they're thinking to themselves, they're always expressing, talking to themselves, talking to the world, making funny sounds. So initiating sound is something that's part of our vocabulary, but we learn, especially when we get into school, like shh, shh. So be quiet, sit still, and learn something. So we learn to wait. We learn to wait for permission. We learn to wait until we can say the right thing or we have the perfect answer. And basically, then we wait for other people to pull us out. So, this card is about what is it like to genuinely initiate? It's really a function of responsibility, also. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the card, if we could, Michelle. Thank you. Conscious communication. Because see, so we see conscious communication on the card there. Most of our communication is unconscious. So as we're learning to make our communications more conscious, I'm just looking at the card, the collage, and remembering my saying, that I was looking at a picture of the galaxy. So here we are of jumping off into the vastness. So notice when you look at the collage, then give that curious attention to your own body and notice the how your body sensations, any emotions that arise, anything that's familiar. So like for me, when I look at the guy up in the corner there, I'm reminded of my choosing to jump out of an airplane in 1995 to skydive. It was my initiating into my tremendous fear of heights. And uh, Gay is still astounded that I jumped out of an airplane. And it was the first part of it was just like that, where I felt, ah, I'm in free fall. And I loved it. I loved being in the vastness. So when you initiate, you are actually opening to the vastness. You're stepping into the unknown and you're creating. So initiating has just such power for opening up more connection, both with you and with others. So, what I'd like you to do now is to close your eyes and listen to me reading to you and notice what arises for you when you hear these words. I initiate conversations with authentic expression as well as responding to others' initiations. So do a little fear melting, breathing, landing. Noticing, and let me read that one once more. I initiate conversations with authentic expression as well as responding to others' initiations. So I give and receive. I initiate rather than always waiting. I find it more scary to initiate than to receive because I'm stepping into the unknown. I'm not picking up a thread that somebody has already offered to me. So notice if you have fear that arises and what kind of fear. Do you get fighty or fleey or frozen or fainty when you think about initiating? I get a little fainty, like, oh, I get a little stupid. You're like, oh, I don't quite know what to say. So I'd like you to just notice something that's going on inside you right now and just make a one out breath expression of that, like, oh, I feel a little feathery, kind of fainty around my eyes. Take a breath in. Think of the word initiating and then just say, oh, initiating. And see if there's any sound that comes with that. I don't know what to say. I'm going to say something stupid. So the way in which we censor ourselves keeps us from initiating. And now I'd like you, if you've opened your eyes again and are looking out at the world again, close your eyes once more and let me give you a couple of questions and notice how you experience those inside. How can I source and initiate authentic speaking in any situation? For example, initiating real communications without having to be begged, threatened, or coerced. How can I source and initiate authentic speaking in any situation? For example, initiating real communications without having to be begged, threatened, or coerced. They almost always have to do with feelings. So if I'm withholding and initiating a conversation, it's almost always about a feeling that I'm scared to share. And for me, the big one is, irritations on the anger continuum. I felt a buzz of anger. I was just thinking about a conversation with one of my family members, and I felt some anger, and I wanted to share with you what came up for me when I was having that conversation. I'm feeling something, and I don't exactly know what it is. I haven't got it all packaged up, because see, that was one of the things that I did, was I had to have it all packaged up and had to have it all figured out, and then I could initiate a conversation because I already knew how it was going to go. So when I'm genuinely initiating, I'm stepping into the unknown. Whew, and that can be scary. So I could just say, I have something going on. I want to communicate about it. And I feel scared. I feel scared to even start. But you've started. So saying that is initiating. So I'd like you to take a moment. Let's come on back to the big group now. I'd like you to take a moment and just notice, what's the easiest initiating that you can do? So here's one that was just occurring to me, is initiating is, I feel, and then fill in the blank, or I'm noticing, or something that just happened. So we genuinely go to figuring it out, packaging it up, but what if we just went to what's happening? What's happening right now? So what's happening right now is that my left eye feels itchy and my head feels a little bit fuzzy, and I feel happiness arising. So that's what's happening. So for you right now, I'd like you, since you've got yourself muted, I'd like you to go ahead and give your attention to yourself, do that loop inward, notice, then take a breath and make a 1 out breath of what you're noticing. I'm noticing, I'm experiencing, I feel, and see if you can just let that, just like rainfall. And then notice your energy, if there's any shift in your energy from expressing. See what I notice, and if we had taken a baseline today, I can tell you my baseline energy has risen from our time together. And I don't know if you can remember all the way back 25 minutes ago, your energy level, but I'm guessing that the giving and receiving attention, but also expressing unkinks the hose. And so initiating is a major energy hose unkinker. So for enjoying more energy, notice you don't even have to express it to somebody, it's expressing it to the universe. So let yourself do one more of taking your energy, just noticing what's going on, what you're experiencing. Then taking a big in breath, and then just express that, whatever you're noticing. It could even be sounds. It doesn't have to be words. It could be, and so through this week, I invite you to experiment with initiating, especially if you're just such a patient listener. Get in there and interrupt that pattern and do some initiating and notice how much aliveness that creates for you. So thank you so much for being in our giving and receiving and filling our reservoirs today. And thank you for the gift of your attention. So go ahead and unmute and let yourself express. I'm going to be leaving in just a moment, and you're totally welcome to stay and converse and share. Mwah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Until
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.